Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the United Regional Chamber of Commerce's weekly updates. I appreciate you folks tuning in. I've gotten some great comments lately of some of the subjects that we've had on. And as always, huge shout out to AACS for hosting us. And Dave Angel, who is our producer and the guy who puts up with me most of the time. Today, we're going to talk to Mr. Derek Cameron from 3805 Productions. Derek is a North Attleboro guy. He has a photography and drone business, and we're going to talk today about drones. But you can check out some of Derek's work. He was one of the photographers for the North Attleboro Block Party last week. That was just an absolute fabulous event. And kudos to Annie Slobogin and those at Preservation Framers and her team who put that on. So, everybody, please welcome Derek.
Jack, thanks for having me. It's great to be with you today. I appreciate you having me on. And I second the motion on the block party. It was an incredible event, and I was grateful and honored that I was asked to be part of it and got some great photos, and including one of yourself, too. So I made sure to do couple extra fine edits for you just to bring out the lankness of Jack Lank. So.
Yeah, in other words, you took about 20 pounds off. Okay, gave me a couple of hairs to put up there.
The magnitude of you, it was great. So I'm really excited about that, and I was really grateful about being part of it.
Well, you did a fabulous job, as you always do.
Tell
us. Give us a little bit of info about Derek and what made you start 3805 Productions. You and I have had the conversation, but let's tell for folks.
Sure. I picked up the drone a couple of years ago, and it was at a family. It was at a family's house. My in-laws, and they had a drone that was still in the box. I was looking at it, pulled it out, and had it in the air within 10 minutes. But backing up from that, I have had a fixation with photography, and it was also a combination of Alex McLean and Mr. Rogers. Alex is a professional pilot and photographer, and he had an art exhibit years ago at the Peabody Essex Museum. It was called Airlines, and it was a photo gallery of all pictures that he had taken while he was in the air. And it was all just using leading lines and capturing parking lots, farmers fields, pivot irrigation. But the way he composed it, it was just beautiful. It was all the symmetry and just capturing it from the air. It just immediately, I was fascinated by all of it. And then fast forward, seeing drone technology is able to capture that to a degree, I was hooked, and then just started really diving into it, and then started doing the research on what drones could provide and what they could do for businesses. So I started spending months and months and hours on YouTube and taking online courses and reaching out to people through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through Facebook, pretty much anybody that I could connect with to learn more about what they do with drones and how they're being successful in their own endeavors. So I started 3805 Productions right before the pandemic of last year. So not the most auspicious of times to launch a business, but it was a great experience because it allowed me to take some creative risks with social distancing and during some of the quarantine times. And because the drone itself can't catch COVID, I was in a pretty advantageous spot where I could have it in the air and capture a lot of places around town and around the community that I think people have come to really appreciate it, especially posting things up online and some of the local Facebook pages. But it also just opened up a lot of doors talking to local business owners and how they're using drones and what they're looking to do with them. So when I joined the chamber a few months ago, it just seemed really fortuitous to be able to learn more about the companies that are part of the chamber and try to bring my services in and bring it up to a much larger scale.
Well, you've done a fabulous job so far. I know you're still kind of a newbie here in the chamber, but hopefully, we can make this a good investment for you. But tell us, how can a drone be useful in business?
The data capture piece of that, I don't think can be really, I don't think you can overrate that at all, because the drone is able to get into a place that it's in very hard to reach places. So, for instance, chimneys, roofs, multi-story facades, if you're doing it for inspections, if you are a realtor or a developer that is looking to promote a piece of property or to get a better look of a piece of property that you're marketing, being able to provide the high resolution photo that really captures a larger area and gets people's attention. And in addition to that, too, I mean, being able to provide 3D or 2D orthomosaic maps of a much larger area that's in a high resolution format that you're not going to be able to capture from a Google Images or from a Google Map. And then being able to provide that in a much more targeted and a much more concentrated area. Works for farmers, for agriculture. It works for developers in large parcels of property, especially if you're working on subdivisions and you want to see what that looks like from a much more macro perspective.
Well, you had mentioned that a lot of businesses can benefit from this, but tell us something critical that people don't know about drones and why they should hire a professional instead of just going out and buying the,
Sure.
1995 one down at Walmart and trying it themselves.
First of all, the $20 ones you're going to get at Walmart. I hope that they stay connected to your phone and they don't lose signal, because that's happened to me when I started, when I bought my first couple of drones. Really, it's because there are a lot of regulations and there's a lot of rules to understand about the drone industry. There's airspace requirements, there's height requirements, there's flying over people, flying at night, and it's very regulated. So you need to have somebody that understands what each of those laws are, what the rules are, where you can fly, where you need to request airspace authorization. An example, I have a client up in Wakefield, and there are two airports very close by. So just needing to know where I can fly in those areas, because I've got Logan and then Beverly Airport is close by. So I want to make sure that I'm either I'm not in that airspace, but if I am, then making sure that I'm requesting things ahead of time, because there's also IDs tracking now for drones. So if I'm flying where I shouldn't, FAA is going to get wind of that pretty quickly, and they're going to come calling. So if you're somebody that's just picking up a drone and just flying it around, one, you don't have the authorization or you don't have the certification for it, you're just going to walk into a lot of legal issues. So these are the things that we, as providers, we go through the training. I'm constantly looking at what the new laws are, looking at what my areas of flights are before I take it anywhere, make sure that I'm not crossing into any unauthorized airspace, and just being mindful of where I'm at all times. I mean, that includes too, wires, branches, low hanging trees, just being mindful of all of that. And it takes a while to be able to pick up those skills and to really put the time in to practice it.
And you actually a certified drone pilot.
Yes.
There is certification that people have to go through and a licensing process. I'm sure there's a ton of red tape. Now, do you do that through the state or the FAA?
It's the FAA, so that's overarching everything. I go through, my certification's going to be up in a couple of months, and I've already started the prep for it and going through just to make sure my credentials are good for another couple of years. But it works on a 2-year basis. So the FAA Part 107 exam, it is the barrier to entry for anybody that's looking to fly commercially. So it's, I think it's an 85 or 60 or 85 question exam, just to make sure that you understand everything that I just mentioned, to be able to just fly and do it responsibly and do it within the guidelines that the FAA prescribes. So that's something that I have to always keep. So every 2 years, but I always have to keep mindful of that as well. So I'm on newsletters and I'm other updates to make sure that I'm staying within those guidelines and making sure that I've got the proper credentialing, both of my drone too, because they have to be labeled, they have to be registered with the FAA. So anywhere I'm going, they're able to see or know that I'm showing up on somebody's radar.
Well, it's a lot of studying. It's a lot of hard work to figure out these. It's great if someone's playing with one in their backyard. They want to look at the dog or something like that. But tell us, how can business owners and small businesses benefit from knowing a professional photographer like you?
It's the conversations that you have with them to really understand what it is they're looking for. Sometimes people are really excited about, oh, let's get a drone and post, let's get some drone pictures and just post it up in the building, and then we'll put it up on social media. And while that might be a really good idea, what are some of the larger items, or what are some of the larger goals that a business owner is looking at that might be able to help further their business, not just on a one-off Facebook post or an Instagram post, but what are the other visuals that they're looking to capture that's going to bring out the most in that business? And that's on the ground too. I mean, I'm a professional photographer, so I also have a Canon that I shoot with. I do headshots, I do business owner portraits, I do environmental photography in addition to the drone work. So having the conversation we're in a place right now where there are a number of resignations that are going on, or the big resignation as it's known. And what are the things that you can do to highlight your staff, highlight your employees, capturing them and getting photos of them doing the work that they're showing up for every day, and really celebrating that and being able to post that up on your website and your socials. So it's having somebody that you can talk to and have a conversation of what some of the larger picture items are, and then being able to put those down. And if a drone video or drone images are part of that, that's great. But really, you want to look at something else that's really going to bring out the best in you.
Can you give us a couple of examples how 3805 Productions have helped some of the local businesses?
Sure. There's a couple of I shot a video for Attleboro Farms earlier in the year. They've been in business for 30 plus years, and they really wanted to showcase the nursery and showcase the people that are working for them, and just really bring out what it is that makes Attleboro Farms such a great business. So I was excited. It was in the middle of spring bloom, so the colors were exploding. They had all the perennials or the annuals that were outside. So we went back a couple of times and really captured all of that and brought out all the color and all of the plants and all of the flora. But in addition to that too, just getting some shots of the staff as well and capturing them at work and all the sweat equity and love that they put into their daily lives. So I was able to capture that. They loved it. And it's something that I love doing too, because it's really, it's helping the stay local theme. And it's also allowing me to get to know a lot of the local businesses even more. So when there are other jobs that are coming up or other opportunities, they know what I'm able to provide, and also somebody that can really drill down into what it is that's going to bring out their best.
Well, one of the things that you also do is not just the photography work and the drone work, but you sit and meet with a client and you find out what their objectives are, and then you kind of coach them a little bit of, combining the two, whether it's drone footage or regular photography. So it's more of a marketing arm of your business that you have. Am I right?
Sure. It is. And that's the kind of, and maybe this just goes back to my time working in employee relations. I worked in higher ed for a number of years, and a lot of it was just talking to employers about, what is it that they're looking to do? How are they looking to grow their own teams? And there are a lot of similarities in that. So when you're talking to somebody that is looking to just get a photo or just something as a one-off, really drilling down and being able to have a substantive conversation to get to know them more and say, you know what, actually, I think this might be a good photo or this might be a good collection here, because you can post them on a campaign. So if you wanted to run up staff photos, or if you wanted to have your business headshots for your LinkedIn profile, if you wanted to have a drone video that highlights the business and just captures somebody's attention up online, those are all the things that you go through and just try to learn more about what they're looking to do and putting together a creative package for them.
You know, driving a drone or flying a drone, however you say that, it sounds simple, but it's really not. It took you an
No.
awful lot of time to practice that. Tell us honestly, how many times you crashed before you got the hang of it?
Since this is a public show, I won't give specifics, but there's a learning curve that goes into to getting on the sticks, and sometimes it goes well, and sometimes you got to do a little duct tape work, but it's the practice is fun. I mean, you're some folks are looking at it as a toy. It's an amazing tool. It's an amazing instrument. So when you're picking up the controller and you're starting to get the feel for it, I mean, it's an incredible power to have, or it's just like an incredible feeling to have. But to your point, I've got somewhere around 100 or so hours on the controller, and it's something I practice all the time too. And it's not just being able to yaw, pitch, and roll. It's also learning how to work the gimbal, learning how to work the camera, understanding the exposure triangle, and being able to capture video and being able to compose a shot too. So all of these things are running through your mind as you're going up in the air and trying to put together something and saying, all right, what's going to be the most captivating visual that I can provide where I'm at? Where's the sun? Where's my subject? Can I get in tighter? Is there any wires that I'm going to have, they're going to clip? So all of these things go into it, but that's why you practice it. And it's a lot of fun practicing, and I'll definitely take that over anything else I've done.
Well, Derek, coming to the end of the show,
Yes.
tell us, how can folks get a hold of you, and tell them how they can take a peek at what you do.
Sure. I'm pretty ubiquitous. So my website is www.3805productions.com. My website just flashed up there in the screen. I'm on Facebook under 3805 Productions. My Instagram account is Derek Cameron 21. All of that is available off of my website, so I've got all of my social channels linked on there. But I'm pretty ubiquitous, so I want to make sure that I'm getting the word out and being able to. It's a visual medium, so I'm trying to hit all of these places as best I can, and I'm pretty active on a lot of the local Facebook groups too, just capturing some of my out and about photos around town. So folks can reach out to me anywhere through there. And then my email is info@3805productions.com.
And if anybody doesn't remember all those things, you can always contact the chamber and we'll put you directly in touch with Derek. Well, Derek, thank you very much for coming on today. I appreciate the insight and the information you've shared with us. Hopefully, a couple of our folks watching today will reach out for either your services or at least some advice.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on today, Jack. It's been an honor.
Okay. And again, huge thank you to Dave Angel and the folks over there at AACS for producing our show each and every week. We try and bring you on some interesting folks and interesting subjects. If there's something that you'd like us to talk about, please give me a call, reach out. We're here to help. We've got some events coming up. I encourage you to check out our Facebook page. We have an event tomorrow night at Howl at the Moon up there at Patriot Place, and then another one the following week at the new Spring Hill Suites in Rentham. So if you'd like to come and join us, please let me know. But once again, thanks, folks, for tuning in today. And everybody, have a great week.